Hello dear friends, this simulator is utterly ridiculous, but don't be ashamed of it, because we all make fools of ourselves from time to time. Opinion piece, deprogramming, belief change, re-education, rehabilitation, deconditioning, deconfiguration, shame processing, de-indoctrination, mental unblocking, intervention therapy. It's like living a cult. Identity reconstruction, cognitive restructuring, peak of the financial war, programming suppression. The atmosphere is different. Uninstalling the operating system, breaking chains towards freedom. This process is neither easy nor comfortable. Let's start. We are living through the largest mass deprogramming in history that humanity has ever witnessed. Lies are crumbling and masks are cracking. As more people begin to examine the narrative, they should never have questioned institutions that once enjoyed unquestionable trust lose their power. Deprogramming means changing the ideas, beliefs, or convictions that govern someone's behavior. Cells are deprogrammed under the influence of certain radiations. Deprogramming is an intensive intervention to free humanity from a program that has enslaved it for millennia. Rehabilitation is the process of mental, emotional, cognitive, and social recovery that a human being undergoes after living a coercive system of control, in order to heal wounds and regain an autonomous and functional life. Initial stabilization consists of recovering from the stress, anxiety, confusion, sleep problems, or symptoms of trauma that appear upon breaking with the old system. Programming. For generations, we were conditioned through repetition and fear. We were told what to believe, what to desire, whom to trust, and what topics were too dangerous to explore. We don't just inherit a society, we inherit a pre-established script. The most effective programming never feels like control. It feels normal. It becomes the voice in your head and tells you to obey, to be quiet, to follow the crowd, and never look behind the curtain. It teaches you that obedience is safety, and that anyone who questions the official version must be foolish, dangerous, or insane. But something has changed. People no longer accept an explanation simply because it comes from an authority. They are beginning to recognize the manipulation, the artificial division, the selective truth, and the constant use of fear to shape human behavior. Once you see the pattern, you can't unsee it. Once you recognize how the programming works, you can no longer go back to sleep. This process is neither simple nor comfortable. It can generate anger, sadness, confusion, and even shame. You may have to admit that you defend things you never thoroughly analyzed. You may discover that part of your identity was built from beliefs passed down by people who also never questioned them. That's not a failure, that is growth. But we must remain vigilant, because it is not waking up to reject one narrative only to blindly accept another one. Escaping one programming system only to surrender your mind to a different one is not freedom. Waking up. The true deprogramming involves questioning everything, including the voices you agree with, the ideas that comfort you, and the beliefs that confirm what you already want to believe. Truth does not demand blind loyalty. It can withstand honest scrutiny. This transcends politics, the media, and government. Mental programming resides in our families, relations, fears, wants, and ideas about who we are supposed to be. True freedom begins when we are willing to examine everything. Every lie you abandon is space reclaimed. Every false identity you leave behind frees your soul from a burden. Every time you choose truth over fear, old patterns lose another place to hide. We are not merely waking up. We are uninstalling the operating system of an entire era and deciding what will replace it. Free yourself from fear. Free yourself from artificial divisions. Free yourself from the need to blindly follow anyone. Question everything. Keep your heart open and never relinquish your discernment. What comes next will be built through us. Let us ensure we are truly free to build it. Full thought summary. There are many indicators that the current hybrid war is coming to an end, possibly this fall or perhaps in the first half of 2027. While the news may seem repetitive, it masks the impending climax of the intense secret war currently being waged. This battle for control of the international financial system is in reality a battle for the mental process of deciding what will we do as a species in the future. Most of humanity is fighting to free itself from the Babylonian debt bondage and earn the right to decide its own future. They face an elite group that intends to exterminate 90% of humanity and enslave the rest. Now they are on the verge of losing total control as their primary source of power, control of the global economy, especially oil, raw materials, and manufactured goods, is coming to an end. Although this war has been raging for millennia, in 1930 a group of bankers seized control of the creation and distribution of money and created the Federal Reserve. They then set in motion their plan to start World War I, which led to the destruction of the German, Austro-Hungarian, and Ottoman empires. At the end of the war, with the Treaty of Versailles, Germany was forced to pay 132 billion gold marks as reparations. The only ones who could provide Germany with such a quantity of gold were the Asian royal families. Since the Roman Empire, Asians have sent spices, silk, ceramics, and other goods to the West, receiving gold and silver in return. This explains why 85% of the world's gold reserves are in Asia. The secret agreement reached between the Germans and the Asian monarchies resulted in the creation of the Bank for International Settlements in 1930. In exchange for the Asian gold, the creation of a world parliament was promised, with the monarchies as guardians, but the Asians were told that this required World War II for its establishment. Reflections. Matrix is everywhere. It surrounds us. Even now, in this very room. You can see it when you look out of the window or when you turn on the television. You can feel it when you go to work, when you go to church, when you pay your taxes. It's the world that has been imposed on you to blind you to the truth. You are a slave, like everyone else. You were born into slavery, born into a prison you can't smell, taste, or touch, a prison for your mind. Nothing to lose. We are on a journey where there is much to gain and nothing to lose, according to Keshash. Of course, this also depends on perspective. What from one perspective may seem like an end, from another may be the beginning of something much greater. In this case, the ascend to a new realm. Every experience, challenge, and transition carries something that can expand your consciousness and bring you closer to the person you are becoming. When you stop fearing what you might lose, you open yourself to what there is to gain. When I was at my lowest point, I asked God how He felt about me. Am I doing the right thing? Am I a failure? I remember His answer, in quotes. You are going to be okay. I have a plan for you. Don't worry. Everything will be alright. That gave me so much clarity, so much peace, because I realized I was looking for recognition and fulfillment in the wrong places, when I really should have been looking to Him. No one owes you an understanding. No one owes you a love. And no one wants your success more than God. Period of correction. There is a very different atmosphere right now, according to Zachary Fisher. Something is changing, and perhaps the most important question isn't what's happening to the world, but what is it asking me to become? For many, the past few weeks have been intense, emotional, restless, and revealing. Things that were once easy to ignore are now harder to overlook. Relationships are showing their true colors. Old wounds are resurfacing. Situations that have been on hold are reaching a point where a decision finally needs to be made. It feels less like a new wave of awakening and more like a period of correction. Everything based on pretending, forcing, pleasing others, fear, or constant self-neglect is becoming exhausting. You may notice that your tolerance for certain conversations, environments, behavior, and even versions of yourself has diminished. That doesn't mean you have become cold or distant. You may simply be seeing more clearly where your energy is being directed. And there is also enormous emotional pressure on the collective. People carry burdens they haven't faced for years, and some of these manifest indirectly through anger, defensiveness, anxiety, projection, and conflict. Try not to absorb every reaction around you as if it were your own. Discernment is becoming incredibly important. Not everything that demands your attention deserves your energy. Not every argument requires your participation. Not every frightened voice speaks truth. And not every uncomfortable feeling means you are on the wrong path. Sometimes discomfort is simply the result of an earlier version of your life, no longer being able to contain the person you are becoming. And beneath all that intensity, something quieter is happening. People are beginning to simplify. Less chasing, fewer demands, less craving for noise, more desire for authentic relationships, real purpose, true peace, nature, community, honesty, and lives that feel like their own. The collective doesn't need more fear right now. It needs people who can stay present while everything shifts. People who can question without being consumed. Who can see darkness without becoming it. Who can cultivate compassion without relinquishing discernment. And who are willing to let go of what's already happened instead of dragging it into what's next. And that's all for today. Thanks a lot, dear friends.